see this for another part?
Yeah.
All right, let's see if we can get it in here so that we can get all the numbers. Okay, this is just an example that I was working on with the African American groups. The people targeting African Americans, not a group of African American students. So here's what you have. We wanted to look at this example just has two different media in it. We have BET, if we bought a commercial there or multiple commercials there, and we have Ebony. So the first thing we needed to figure out was what do we have in terms of audience size, all right? So what we found was we were looking at, we looked at a show on BET that did not have a cable rating. So we found that on average, by looking at, by Googling and finding some reports, that on average 660,000 people watch BET on average. So we just kind of use that as our baseline number to compute everything, right? That way we don't have to look up every show. I don't expect you to do that. I just want you to know the concepts, okay? So we set our baseline for BET as every time we put a commercial out there, we're going to get 660,000 impressions. All right? With Ebony, I just kind of come up with random numbers, assuming circulation for Ebony is 1 million. All right? Now, remember, this is also assuming, probably wrong, and I should probably spell Ebony correctly, probably wrong, but this is having to assume that all the people that watch BET and read Ebony are African American, right? But we don't have better numbers. If you're in the industry, you would have better numbers. Here you go. All right. I just also came up with a random guesstimation. There's real numbers out there. I just didn't have them handy. So if you're working on the group, go find what the population is. It's called a census. All right. There are 14 million African Americans in the U.S. All right. So that's our target audience base. Follow me so far? So I then just computed a rating. All right. 660,000 divided by 114 million times 100 means that every time I use a commercial, I put a commercial on BET, I'm getting 4.7% of the African American audience. May or may not be correct. I'm just giving you an example here. For Ebony, you get 7.17%. I mean 7.14%. So I just computed a rating. Now, if you go to those books, what you have available to you are the CPPs, cost per rating point. That's why I computed it to a rating so we can start working with that. All right. So here you have just the basic numbers you need to get started. Then you have inserts, right? And I just said, okay, what would happen if I bought 5 commercials and then 7 ads in Ebony? Just kind of plug those in. So then I just computed a total audience the same way you did your exercises by multiplying these numbers by the inserts to get these numbers. So you now have an audience. You also want a cost of the schedule. So I multiplied 4.7, because that's a rating point, and 4.7 times the $30, which is way low, but $30 that I put in for the cost per point to compute. That would be my total cost for buying BET. This would be my total cost for buying the Ebony, and this would be my total cost for the entire schedule with these two in it. All right. Now, you also need GRPs, right? Well, we have ratings, we have inserts, so just like we did in the exercise, multiply across, and you get GRPs, add them together, and with this schedule I have put together, we would get 73.5 GRPs. Follow me so far? We've all done this before. Now, here I have 6. And this is, for this simple example, I wanted to compute an average frequency. Right? So I have GRPs, I now have frequency, the average is 7 and 5, 6. So right now my average frequency is 6, and I bought 73 GRPs. So the other thing I need is my reach, right? Well, what is reach? Reach equals GRPs divided by frequency. So if you divide this by this, you're going to find that thus far we've got 12.26% of African Americans with the schedule. So I would obviously say, I would guess that my goals are higher than that, so I need to add more media. all right, based on these numbers. Do you follow what I'm doing here? Does this make sense to you? Is this helpful? Would you like me to email this to you? Good. All right, good. Everyone was getting stuck on that, and it's understandable. That's why I wanted to give you an example to help you move forward. So I'm guaranteeing that most of the plans are not going to be done with buying. So actually, there's a couple that are really good with buying already. But I knew that this was the place you're getting stuck. So I hope this helps, and I hope this makes sense. If you were, yes?
Yeah, can you explain how you get the total cost again?
Yeah, total cost is very simple. All right, we're paying, in this example, we're paying 30 for cost per point. For every point, paying $30. So all I did was said 30 times, well, I just multiplied it across. But if you're paying, what you would do, I actually kind of did it based on inserts. But if you're going to do it based on cost per rating point, actually, this is what I did. I just said, I'm paying $30 for every point, and I'm getting 4.7 ratings for every ad I put in. So I just said 4.7 times 30 will give me this, which is actually incorrect. Why? Because I didn't include my 5 points, right? I didn't include my insertions. So that's...
You multiply 5 by the product.
Yes.
Okay.
So what we'd have to do then is say, we need total cost, and if we're paying $30 for every rating point, then what we need is that times this number. That's how many ratings we're getting, right? And we'll probably have to put it in parentheses here. And that times 30. See what I did there?
Yes.
Everyone else see what I did there? So good catch, man. I forgot to include the inserts there. Another way to do that, obviously, would be just to say, you have total cost right here, and then just multiply that by 5 again. Did we just confuse you with that at all? I hope not. I'm just going to delete one column. And then you would add those two together for your total cost. So,
so the total cost is so low because the CPP was not realistic, right?
yeah, no, the CPP is going to be in the thousands in your example, right? So if you looked at the cable, the average CPP was like $20,000.
Yeah, okay.
Right. And why is CPP higher than CPM?
It's based on the rating, not on how many people.
CPM is thousands. A rating is based on millions of people. So you're getting more people. Yes.
The CPP is in the thumbnail.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, can you show us how to calculate this whole thing when you don't have the CPP? Because some portion they don't provide a CPP.
What do they have? CPM?
Yeah.
Well, then you go back to your exercises and you go to the exercise where you were taking CPMs and translating them into CPPs.
So would that be as simple as, since this is a cost for reaching 1,000 people, and then you just divide by that with the total audience, and then you would get the cost?
No. You go. There's a whole exercise on how do I take a CPM and turn it into a CPM.
Okay.
And it's fairly easy math, but it's a lot of math, so I prefer you just go to your exercise. If you have trouble, then come talk to me. All right. Cool. So you should have everything you need to finish up. And if you run into any problems, by all means,